We are here with a genomics pioneer, cancer survivor, and patient advocate, Catalina Lopez-Correa. Thank you so much for joining us today. I would love to ask you some questions about your experience.
Well, thank you for the invitation, Sarah. It is really a pleasure to be here to support the Genome BC and the genomic enterprise in general in advancing genomics for care of patients with cancer.
So my first question to you is if you could explain what biomarker tests you received following your breast cancer diagnosis and how it really informed your treatment.
Yes, so I was diagnosed with breast cancer in April 2023, so a bit more than a year ago. I had a healthy and a productive life until my diagnosis, and I have been always advocating for genomics in precision oncology, genomics in human health. So when I was diagnosed, I was, of course, a patient, but also a scientist. I'm trained as a medical doctor, and I was very curious. I've been all this year very curious and very, in a way, demanding about, all the power of genomics and how this applies really to patients like me. So I had, lots of different tests. The more basic biomarkers that I got, the initial ones, were HER2, and then estrogen and progesterone, like the hormonal biomarkers. I asked a lot to my oncologist and to the surgeon. So I got a microbiome test. I got another test in my tumor that we can talk about. And I got a test also that is basically hereditary cancer test that's done in your saliva. So lots of testing.
Totally. And is this available to all Canadians who have breast cancer?
Yes and no. In theory, there's really some rules or protocols where you have to be a certain age, like in my case, postmenopausal woman. I was diagnosed when I was 56 years old, the stage of your cancer. So there's a lot of requirements that need to be fulfilled. But what is challenging is that here in Canada and actually around the world, we're seeing that not all women are being offered those options. And I'm really concerned and worried about that. I actually wrote a blog for LinkedIn where I was trying to explain that depending on where you live, depending on your education, depending on even your socioeconomic status, because we can talk, I did pay for some of the tests. Some other tests, like the one in my tumor, was offered as part of my care. I was entered into a clinical trial, but not everybody asked. Second, not all oncologists are maybe well aware or part of some of these clinical trials where they can offer this to their patients. So I would say, in a short answer, we are seeing a lot of inequities and a lot of challenges and barriers for the access to tests that are already validated.
Wow. So you had to do your own research and then bring it up with your oncologist.
Absolutely. And actually, I think, well, it's actually, I don't know if it's funny. For me, it's funny, but maybe for my oncologist, it's not that funny. But I always come with my list of questions. And of course, my first question to the surgeon and the oncologist, can I get my tumor sequence? Can I get whole genome sequences? At the beginning, they say, well, no, but maybe we can offer the microbiome test. We can maybe go into the OncoDX, it's called the test that they did on my tumor. But yeah, you have to ask. You have to ask.
Wow. Okay, that's really good to share with people watching this. And so when you got the results of your biomarker test, how did it inform the treatment?
Yeah, it's critical. It's critical to have those biomarkers. And actually, what is interesting, and even me, trained as a medical doctor with a background and training and experience in genomics, I thought breast cancer is one disease. Breast cancer is actually many different diseases, and they all depend on the biomarkers. So you can be estrogen, progesterone positive, and HER2 negative. That's my case. That's the last names of my tumor. It's called invasive ductal carcinoma. That's kind of the first name. And the last names are those classifications based on the hormone receptors and the HER2 amplification. So that basic information will guide how this tumor will be treated. And the prognosis too, because it indicates how aggressive the tumor is, what medications are available. If you're HER2 positive, for example, it's not my case, but if you're HER2 positive, there are medications that are specific for those individuals with HER2 positive tumors. So that's the basic classification. But then when I got the OncoDX, which is the other test that's done in my tumor, where they look at 21 different genes in the tumor and do the expression analysis, and they give you a score. And actually, it's interesting because from 0 to 25 means you don't need chemotherapy, right? You go from surgery to radiotherapy and you skip chemotherapy. When you get more than 25 as the score for OncoDX, you have to go through chemotherapy. I guess now, with nice. You can guess that, but actually, my score was 26.
Oh my goodness. So you just,
I was like at the border.
oh my goodness.
But what is interesting is that, of course, and I think this example illustrates that those, tests are not analyzed just in a vacuum or in isolation. They are part of your clinical. And I had the tumor of a certain size, plus I have lymph nodes, one lymph node that was positive. So, and I'm giving you my whole,
No, it's interesting.
story. Yeah, and I think it helps. Patients with cancer, this is what we live every day. We need to understand that it's not just the test that defines the need for chemotherapy, but your entire clinical. There's other markers, the Ki-67, that indicates how fast the tumor replicates and the cells in the tumor are dividing and replicating. So all of that taking into account made for me really the recommendation from my oncologist to have chemotherapy. Okay, as much as I didn't want to have chemotherapy, and I was like, oh, I would be happy to go from surgery to radiotherapy and skip all the hassle and the side effects and the bad sides of having all these toxic medications. But at the end of the day, I'm happy. I know that I got chemotherapy because I need it, because my tumor replicates fast, because my tumor is more aggressive, even though it was caught early in the process of development. But it's still, it's a fast developing and fast growing tumor. So we need to kill every single possible cell, and that's what chemotherapy does. But then, if you get chemotherapy without getting OncoDX, I would be like, are you sure I need chemotherapy? Are you sure this is the right treatment for me? For me, with the test, I know this is the right treatment for me. So I feel more ready to endure and go through all the challenges of chemotherapy because I know I need it.
Yes. Okay. That's really great to hear. And I like what you said about how breast cancer is not just one disease. It's so much more complicated than that. Can you just talk about the other one that you had to ask for?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so OncoDX, I did ask my oncologist, and they enrolled me, the OncoDX, they enrolled me into this clinical trial, and that's the one that gave me the score of 26.
Okay.
The microbiome, because I asked my surgeon, I'm very interested, I'm a scientist, I want to, profile my tumor, is there anything we can do? And she offered this microbiome, which is really cool. Because this is really a research project. So I will not get the results myself. Those results will be anonymized, aggregated, and published in a paper.
Wow.
When they are ready.
Okay.
They are collecting about 70 or 100 women. Some, it's a case control. So basically, some women with breast cancer, some women without breast cancer, same age, same, hormonal stage and all that. They're thinking that there might be a link between the composition and how your microbiome produce estrogens and the development of cancer that is estrogen positive. That's my case. So we'll see. I will let you know when it was also ready. For now, it's just a research project. Okay. So those two are part of clinical trials that were covered by the healthcare system here in BC.
Did you have to ask for it, right?
I had to ask.
Okay.
I had to ask. In both cases, I have been asking all the time. Every single consultation with my oncologist, my surgeon, I ask for, can I get my tumor profile? Can I get this done? Is there anything you can offer? Is there anything I can enroll or any study? The one I ask many times is the one that I call the Angelina Jolie.
Okay, yeah, I think everyone does. Yeah.
We call it actually the Angelina Jolie effect. Because when Angelina Jolie, that was 2011, I believe, when she published this letter in the New York Times and made her decision very public, she did the test. It's called hereditary cancer test. Sorry. So this is a test that is not done in your tumor. This is done either, you can do it in your blood or you can do it in your saliva. So this will not look at the genes in your tumor. This test will look at your constitutional, we call it constitutional DNA. So the DNA of your whole body, and basically look if you have genes that indicate you have a higher risk to inherit that from your parents or pass that into your offspring. Even though I don't have kids, but I do have nephews, and and just because of the scientific curiosity also. But if you have a family and if you have other members in your family, I think it's super important because that also could indicate how aggressive your tumor will be. So nevertheless, I decided to pay for the test. I asked the oncologist if I could pay myself. So I get the prescription. It's actually interesting because I'm in the healthcare system with that. It's not that I do it privately completely. The doctor has to prescribe it. The doctor has to order it. I get an email. And I pay for it myself. But then when I got the results, my doctor got the results and I got an appointment with genetic counselor. So it's kind of inside and outside of the healthcare system. Yeah, because the appointment with my oncologist, of course, and the appointment with the genetic counselor were covered by the healthcare system. I didn't have to pay for a private genetic counselor to read my test. So it's a bit of a mix.
Yes.
But it was super useful. Now, maybe, and this might get a little bit more complicated here for our audience that I expect is not going to be all experts in genomics.
Yeah.
But my results were basically negative. But I did have one variant in one of the maybe less known genes. I don't even remember the name now.
Okay.
But the results said that this variant was of unknown significance. And that in itself is very important, at least for me.
Yeah.
Because I am, as you can hear with my accent, I am from Latino origin. And my grandparents, maternal, paternal, all Colombian. My entire family is from Colombia. My genes are from Colombia, even though I might look a bit European or whatever. Yeah. I my genetic background is from Colombia. And since almost 85% or close to 90% of the data we have in international database, when we analyze genetic tests, we look at other people, what do they have in their variants. So 80% or almost 90% of that data is from white, Caucasian, North American, European population. My genes, my Latino genes, are not represented. And that's why that comes back as unknown significance. Basically, we don't have enough Latinos in the database, and we cannot tell you exactly what it means, your variant, which is concerning for me as a geneticist, and as a person that works in the world of genomics. This is something we need to fix. We need to increase diversity, add more. Imagine our populations in Canada, our indigenous populations, or all the immigrants, when they're getting these tests covered by the healthcare system in some cases, and when they come back with this unknown significance because we don't have enough representation, enough diversity, that's an equity problem. That's a health equity problem. So
how do you think that we can have a better, more representative sample? So when you get the test back, it doesn't just say unknown.
Yes, it is important. And I think, Genome BC, Genome Canada, we're all trying to increase diversity in our data sets. And I think every single scientist should be really looking at including more diverse population. And that also goes for us as patients. That we, these tests are not for other people. These tests are for all of us, all of us. And we need to be asking for that. And the fact that an immigrant woman, when she gets diagnosed breast cancer, she starts asking for that and hopefully getting that because she's asking the oncologist, the surgeon, that will help us also reach. So it goes, in many sides. The medical doctor has to be proactive in ordering that test to a more diverse population. The patients, we need to be empowered and ask and get information and read and contact people. And, since I started talking about this, I get a lot of emails and social media, people asking me, and I'm happy to help. I'm happy to help anybody that has questions, that wants to know more how to navigate the system, how to get this test. So as a patient, you need to ask. As a doctor, you need to be educated and informed. As a scientist, you need to open your eyes to the challenge about equity and diversity.
Yeah, definitely. And what I love about your LinkedIn post is that you talk about all the tests and how they helped you. So we can definitely link that. So if someone does want to know about all the tests in detail, they can take a look and see it and maybe print that out for when they see their doctor or oncologist.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. Yeah, because it's, I think that even for me, it's so difficult to navigate. Just think about that. I didn't exactly know when should I get OncoDX, the Angelina Jolie test, their eye cancer, and then it's confusing and it's overwhelming. And already when you get diagnosed, you're overwhelmed with your diagnosis. You're overwhelmed with, facing this big challenge in your life. So adding to that, the component that you need to know about this. So yeah, happy to, and as you say, in the LinkedIn posts, I try to be, more specific, and all the tests I got are listed.
Yes.
And hopefully that will help people really understand what are the options, what are the possibilities, what do you need to ask your oncologist, and how to go about this confusing but super important and critical element of your diagnosis and treatment journey.
You're a doctor, but even you found this extremely overwhelming. So we can only imagine how it is for the layperson who isn't a doctor to be diagnosed with breast cancer and then have to advocate for themselves. So I think my last question to you is, if someone were to be diagnosed with breast cancer, what is the first step?
Yeah, I think it's important to get informed and read about it and learn about it, but also, be careful, where do you read about it? Even though, I remember when I was diagnosed, I told my partner that she is a writer and a professor at UBC, so she's not at all in the world of science or anything. So she was a bit overwhelmed with me, with all this reading questions. They were like, oh, do you really need to do all these? And then, yeah, I do need.
Yeah.
And I told her I was joining some of these Facebook and she was like, oh my God, you're entering into really muddy waters and this is going to be dangerous and you're going to be upset and you're going to read bad things there. But actually, it's not that I recommend Facebook. I recommend going to, Mayo Clinic, Cleveland Clinic. They have information in many languages and they're really, certified in what they say and how they inform. There's also many forums in Canada now, the Breast Cancer Association, the cancer, so many networks in Canada that are providing information. And I can send you links.
That would be great.
I share together with the video. I don't have the exact names now, but there's information in French and in English in Canada available for Canadians on what tests are available in which provinces and all that. I think there's valuable information that could help you navigate, that journey in particular as it relates to the genetic genomic and all the omic testing you and benefit from.
To sum it all up, it's like doing your research and looking at a bunch of different sources and writing a list and really advocating for the test to your doctor and your oncologist and not really accepting no, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. When I first diagnosed, I asked to join the POG, the Personalized Oncogenomics Initiative. And they initially told me, no, that was only for patients with metastases, for patients with a very advanced cancer. And I continue asking. And finally, they told me, okay, wow, now we know that the tumor, we have more information about the tumor. We know that the tumor is developing very fast, replicating fast. And because of the characteristics and how fast the tumor is replicating, we might be able to offer that test too. So, yes, you need to ask. And for me, and I think for all of us, going to your oncologist is so stressful, and you only have 15 minutes, 20 minutes with your oncologist, and you have like, all the symptoms, and you have to go over so many things, and they have so much information to give you. So what I do every time is I write down my key questions I don't need to forget, because if I don't write it down because of the stress and the situation, I forget. Oh, she's telling me so many things, and I'm like, and so I take my phone with me. I have my questions for the date. Okay, today is September 5th. I'm working my oncologist. These are my 3, 4, 5 key questions I need to make sure I ask. And some of them I ask almost at every consultation.
Good. I think that's kind of what you need to do.
I can be a pain with the neck.
Thank you so much, Catalina. Your story is so interesting, and it just shows that you really need to advocate for yourself and just keep on asking and do the research and just fully dive into it, because it really sounds like it's time consuming, but it's worth it because it's your life, right?
It's your life.
Yeah.
Your health is your life. And I always say, your surgeon knows a little bit about your story. Your oncologist knows a little bit about your story. Maybe your radiotherapist knows a little bit. And that's the challenge we have now with all this specialized medicine, that everybody has a little bit. You, as a patient, are the only one that has everything. Your whole story is only you. And this is what, we need to be empowered to make sure we ask the right questions, and we really connect the dots. Oh, my oncologist say this, my radiologist say this, and my surgeon. So you connect the dots, and you are the one that really, it's almost, I would say, going through a cancer treatment is a full-time job. And for me, it was a full-time job. I was keeping a record of everything, and not obsessively. I'm not the Excel type that will write down, I had this pain today. No. Some people do it. Yeah. Great for them. Yeah. I know people that will have the Excel with every symptom, everything they have. No, not my case, but I did have my notes, and I did write down the questions every time, and I make sure I ask them. And at one point, my oncologist I say to her, I'm really sorry. I think I'm a pain in the neck a little bit, and I'm sorry to ask these questions. And she said to me, like, I understand. You are the one that have to advocate for yourselves. You have to ask your questions. So ask them anytime you feel you need to ask them. So
great. Okay. Wow. Thank you for sharing your story. Yeah.